Connor McDavid is the best hockey player I'm ever going to watch in my life. And I think it's time to go out there and start accepting that there's nobody that I'm personally going to see, maybe in the next few decades, that is going to be able to take over a shift, take over a game, and just take over the league, as Connor McDavid has been able to do. I wasn't alive for the prime Lemieux days or any of the Gretzky days, and when it comes to all the other legends that have played in the past, it's kind of funny because for Sidney Crosby, even though you could argue that Crosby does everything so well, he is the surgeon, people like to call him that he is a better player, quote-unquote, than McDavid because his individual skills are more polished. Connor McDavid just does things that nobody else can do. And it came to life yesterday against the New York Rangers at home on the night where Kevin Lowe's number 4 was retired. And you had yourselves what was one of the most crazy comebacks that I'd ever seen for a team where I was kind of thinking the other day, okay, I want to make a video talking about Draisaitl. I want to talk about how Draisaitl was at the time first in the league in points, and I was doing all this stuff, and how a lot of people didn't really expect him to pop off in the same way. Okay, it's McDavid's team, it's McDavid's show, it's McDavid's spotlight, and Draisaitl is kind of seen and the afterthoughts because his name does not start with a Connor Mac. I wanted to make that video, but now it's like, okay, what do we do? This game yesterday against the Rangers just kind of cemented everything that we were thinking about when it comes to the Edmonton Oilers this year, that now this hockey team is 9-1-0 to kick off the 2021-2022 season. I think this is the best start they've ever had. Like, when have we seen this team dominate other teams the way they have this year? We'd have to go back to, the gosh darn 80s, wouldn't we? We'd have to go back to the Messier days. We'd have to go back to before I was even gosh darn born. So yesterday against the New York Rangers, it is a 6-5 overtime win for the Blue and Orange, where they were initially down. What was the worst they were down in this game? Let's go ahead and check it out. It was 4-1 at one point when Zibanejad, Kreider, Rooney, and Filip Chytil all got on the board alongside of Zach Hyman in the first little bit. The last goal in the second period, though, was indeed a Jesse Puljujarvi power play goal, assisted by Nugent-Hopkins and Darnell Nurse. We'll talk a little bit more about these players as we go on, but in the third, we had ourselves Tyson Barrie score from Draisaitl and McDavid also on the power play. Puljujarvi had himself a blast from Keith and Boucher to tie things up. Mika Zibanejad gives the Rangers the lead a few minutes after, and then 10 minutes later, it's Connor McDavid. He does the thing, and we're going to talk about that thing a little bit later, but eventually it's an overtime winner by Leon Draisaitl. McDavid goes over to Nurse across the Draisaitl, the hold, the fake, the shot, 10th goal in the year. 6-5 Edmonton, the roof's about to pop off in the building, and everybody is celebrating. If you take a look at what happened in this game right here, let's just go over the numbers. Jesse Puljujarvi had himself 2 goals and 0 assists. Sure, he is no longer in the top of the points race for the NHL. He was there earlier, but he is still one of these guys that has really started to renaissance his career right here. Is that even a verb? I don't think renaissance itself is a verb over here. But Puljujarvi is at 12 points in 10 games played right now. He is over a point per game. So, yeah, what a great year to be Jesse Puljujarvi. You can see just the absolute joy this guy gets when he goes out there and he scores goals and he makes plays. I don't know about you, but have we ever seen this guy this motivated, this happy, and this excited to be out there on the ice? I think we're living in the best days of Puljujarvi's career so far, and it's only going to get better from here, isn't it? You go over to the other guy right here. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins had himself a game as well. He had himself an assist, but it puts him still as one of these top guys in the NHL. Guess what? He is in a tie for 5th in the league in points, and he doesn't have a single goal. There's only one other man who has the same amount of assists as him on the year, and that guy's name is Connor McDavid, so yeah, I don't know what else there is to say about that. Zach Hyman is still here. He got himself another goal. He started everything off in this game. He's got himself 10 points in 10 games, so yeah, a point-per-game player, 7 goals on the season. Only 2 guys have more goals than him on the season, and of course, you can kind of fill in the blanks as to who those 2 are. And then, of course, you have McDavid and Draisaitl, each with 3 points yesterday. Draisaitl with a goal and 2 assists, McDavid with a goal and 2 assists. You take a look at where these guys are in the NHL standings. For assists, it's Connor McDavid first, tied with Nugent-Hopkins, and then Draisaitl is third with 13. He is above Adam Fox, Ryan Getzlaf, Seth Jones, Jonathan Huberdeau, JT Miller, and a few other guys. For goals, Leon Draisaitl is tied for first in the league with Alex Ovechkin. They are 2 ahead of McDavid, Connor, and Chris Kreider. For points, McDavid and Draisaitl are up there with 22 and 23 points respectively on the year. And in fact, if you go over to the stats right here, here are the 22-plus point seasons, each by teammates, for the first 10 games on the year, spanning back to the gosh darn 1920s. It's only been done, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. And the last time that it happened was Lemieux and Stevens in 92-93. McDavid and Draisaitl are the first 2 teammates to get 22 points in their team's first 10 games since the 90s. It only happened once in the 90s, and the previous time it happened before then, it was Bernie Nichols and Wayne Gretzky, it was Lemieux and Brown, it was the Nordique boys over there, Stastny and Goulet doing their thing. Then it was Bossy and Sutter, my goodness. Gretzky, Curry, my goodness. Simmer and Taylor in the 80s, and then you have the 20s. So we are witnessing the best hockey players in the world right here doing their thing, and Draisaitl, in fact, he's got 23 points, which is tying Mario Lemieux in 02-03 for the 6th most points by a player in their team's first 10 games, going back 30 years. So back in 91-92 to the present, he only trails Lemieux in 92-93 at 32 points, and 27 in 95-96, Pat LaFontaine in 92-93 with 29, Kevin Stevens in 92-93, and Wayne Gretzky in 93-94. Who had 24 points. So, is there even anything else to say? Draisaitl has taken such a big step in his effectiveness over the past few years that it's so crazy just to see how good he is. I know there was like a meme going around talking about just how it is Draisaitl is able to go out there and get points. It's like he'll go out there skating at 5 miles an hour, take a few strides in the neutral zone, take a few shots in the offensive zone, and then boom, you look at him at the score sheet at the end of the game, he's got 3 points for some reason. Like, he just knows how to make it count. On those one-timers, on his tape-to-tapes, he does so many fine details, so precisely accurate, that he is able to get himself on the board, off the board, so quickly. And then for Connor McDavid, scoring what is probably one of the best goals we have seen in the past few decades yesterday, where he just decides, I'm going to go through and dangle through 4 freaking Rangers. Only one of them has gotten off on a line change. He sees a lane to the net that goes right through 4 guys, and he says, man, I'm going to take it. Everybody got caught off guard because it's like, okay, it's McDavid. He's good. We know McDavid is a generational talent, but there's no way McDavid is going to try to dangle through 4 guys, right? And he does. And you see him score the goal. He dangles the goaltender, too. And you see him afterwards, he looks to his teammates, and the look on his face, he's like, can you believe I just scored that? I can't believe I just scored that. And then he lets out the biggest F yeah boys that we have ever seen, and you could see the guy is absolutely fiery. When that happened, I was like, okay, we're gonna see an Oilers win here, right? They're getting 9 wins on the season. New York is not taking this game. Sure, Koskinen was kind of shaky on this one. You don't want to see your goaltender let in 5 goals in a game, but man, if it's a game like that, where you're down 4-1 at one point, you tie things up, Connor McDavid scores the goal of the decade, and you have yourselves an overtime win off of a Draisaitl shot like that, hey, you gotta love it, don't you? So, for Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers, it is just absolutely boggling my mind, how good these guys are. And they're the best players that I've ever seen. They're going to be the best players that I'm going to see in my lifetime, because I'm just a youngin' born in the year 2000 who wasn't really watching hockey when Lemieux was still doing his thing. And I compare it to Crosby, because Crosby, even though he does have the fine details on Pat, McDavid just does things that nobody else can do. Like, he has the swagger, he has the drive, he has the willingness to go through 4 guys and just do it all himself, because the Edmonton McDavid's name has never been more relevant until that freaking goal scored last night. Talk to me in the comments, what do you think about this video? I hope you enjoyed. This was Josh Wilson 99, and bye.